Hello everyone, happy holidays. Today, the Batman Dark Knight duo finally arrives from JND. They got stuck in transit and clearance. Unfortunately, it was JND's fault. They did not ensure that all paperwork was completed. So it was delayed by about 11 days. I ordered this just a little over a year ago, directly from JND. So this is my first time unboxing it. Do have number 247 out of the 400 duos made, so pretty small. The box, at least the outer box, looks fairly complete. Looks like they didn't suffer anything during the shipping, and so I'll be checking the inside. The box itself does have some heft to it. Both statues are in the box. It's just a little over 62 pounds. So kind of a big, heavy boy. But the box itself, fairly compact, considering there's two statues in here. So hopefully that both statues are safe and there's no breakage. After opening the top portion, you do see this cardboard covering the outer box. Inner box, I mean. And right underneath is the first layer of styrofoam and the box itself, noting the Dark Knight Batman 1/3 scale. Of course, DC Comics per JND and per JND's par for the course and most shippers. It is styrofoam packed on all the sides. So again, fingers crossed that everything is in one piece. And again, the upper box, or at least the lid, once that's removed, you do see the package inside. Standard certificate of authenticity. No difference there. Par for the course, showing the number 247 out of 400. Your standard straps on either end. Of course, JND branded as well. Tough to get my fingers in there. The gloves on. There we go. First strap. Second strap. And let's see if I can do this one-handed. And fortunately, it looks like I'm almost able to. There we go. Oh, and this is the way I do like the statues being covered, by the cloth itself. This is what I missed that wasn't with the Harley Quinn. And here are both statues. Moving the straps out of the way so I can do a quick vid. They are mainly put together already. The only piece that you would have to fix for Batman would be his gloves, or his hands, and his cape. For the Bruce Wayne statue, you only need to affix his hands and his watch. Both, of course, are pegged. Looks like on the right foot. And I believe there's a magnet on their left foot. I will futz a little bit with Bruce Wayne's suit, make sure it kind of hangs just right. I did read in some of the forums that if you are going to have it, futz it after you let it at least kind of hang for about 24 hours. And then futz it from there. And the next layer is the base itself, and I was slightly wrong. The Batman statue also has the shoulder pads, which I'll have to affix. Of course, this base is a little bit different. It's a bit longer, as it will need to fit both. And at the base underneath, of course, these are the extra accessories. You've got the watch, got hands for Bruce Wayne, and then, of course, the gloved hands for Batman, and the shoulder pads there. All right, now we've got the statues affixed to the base. Fairly easy process. Again, the suit itself, the craftsmanship and the tailoring is impeccable. The only thing I can think of is, of course, some of the stitching is a little larger than, say, if it were a one-to-one statue. But, I mean, you can only shrink the stitching so much in order to get it to a 1/3 scale. But definitely very well done. As you, of course, like to hear, as I often say when it comes to JND, it's definitely JND's. The suit will definitely look, I think, nicer once it kind of hangs and kind of settles on the body after about 24 or 48 hours. Now, the Batman suit is also very detailed. You can definitely tell the different layers, and it's sculpted, painted, and in some cases, it's definitely better than Queen Studios Dark Knight. The pose itself is very close. And next up, we got the accessories. The only piece that I'm not showing on here yet is a cape. But otherwise, you do have the left and right shoulder pauldrons. Got the left and right glove-fisted hands for the Batman suit. The left and right hands to go with his suit. And of course, they slide right into his pants pocket. And you also have this nicely detailed watch that you would affix. And this, of course, will be affixed to his left hand, but you can also affix it to his right hand as well. All right. Fortunately, both arms are magnetized, so if you need to futz and move it around in order to get the hands affixed, it's fairly easy to do so. Taking a closer look, of course, having a hint of that cuff. Hands themselves are, of course, sculpted, and they are not silicone. The only piece that is silicone is the head sculpt. He does have socks and tassels on the shoes. Again, socks as well. Does drape and hang nicely. Probably foots around with the suit a little bit. Did pull it down a smidge, but will most likely pull it down a bit more as it goes on. As far as Batman, super simple. His hands just affix through as so. So pretty straightforward. Both sets of hands are magnetized right there. And so are the pauldrons. All right, the head does remove, since of course this is the same statue as the single Dark Knight that you can pick up. There's also, of course, a magnet on the base. The cape just slots in right there on both sides. First comparison will be the different sculpts. Of course, this is the JND version. Does have a silicone mouth. Looks like the head actually does come off on this portrait. Next to it, once I take this off, will be the Queen Studios sculpt. As you can see, there's definitely some differences. I think the JND is closer to Christian Bale. He did have more of a kind of oblong or flat jaws compared to the Queen Studios version, but both are extremely well done. There's a little bit, of course, better coloring with the eyes for JND sculpt, as it is glass eyes. But the painting on the Queen Studios isn't something to scoff at either. As far as the ears and everything else, they are basically the same. There's a little bit of a better texturing when it comes to the paint around the eyes on the JND version. I definitely think that chin is closer to Christian Bale as a Dark Knight versus the Queen Studios version. Now, to look at it from the same side angle. Go. Again, there's definitely a bit of a difference. The cowl is fairly close to each other, as well as the detailing in the neck armor. But it does feel, not sure if you can see this, here's the Queen Studios bust. Looking at that neck armor, compared to the JND Studios, it is a bit cleaner as far as the actual texture. There's just some packing schmutz there. I think overall, the JND does have some better details when it comes to the under armor around the neck. Alright, next up, the Christian Bale sculpt. Now, with the iPhone camera, it does look like the Queen Studios resin head sculpt. This is the rooted version, has a thicker head. And again, that chin is a better match for the cowl on the JND Studios than it is on the cowled Queen Studios. Both, I can definitely see Christian Bale in both. Of course, thanks to the silicone head sculpt, JND does capture the light and the shadowing for the skin and the wrinkles much better. He doesn't look as old as a prototype, so JND did listen. I think this sculpted resin head is definitely closer to maybe Batman Begins Bale, and this definitely feels more like the Dark Knight Bale. Which one is to your liking? I leave it up to the collectors out there. The hair definitely looks better on the JND. It does look like rooted hair, and even though the hair is somehow fixed, rooted, or glued on the Queen Studios headpiece, it almost looks like the sculpted versus actually rooted hair. Both are fixed into place already with gel right out of the box, and since this hair is pretty cropped, you probably won't have to futz it much. The eyes, of course, are better on the JND, since they are glass eyes, but the painted eyes on the Queen Studios are still amazing for painted eyes. I'll put the head sculpt down there, and then taking a look a little closer. Now, I am going to bring the Queen Studios body next to this one. And there's definitely going to be differences primarily with the body armor and the undersuit. The separation of the layers are a lot more pronounced on the JND, especially with the carbon fiber that shows up there. It's also present in the Queen Studios piece, but it doesn't quite stand out as much. Not necessarily a good or bad thing, just a difference. Of course, the Queen Studios Dark Knight did come out almost a year ago, so there's definitely been some time in between. Alright, now we've got the Queen Studios Batman on the left, the JND Studios on the right. Now it does stand a little bit taller on the JND museum style base. This of course is the Queen Studios base, and it is heavy. It is, I think, actually heavier than the base for both statues. Take a look again at the Queen Studios Dark Knight costume. It does have a more of a gray sheen, and there is no natural lighting currently. I am just using indoor light versus the JND on the video, the belts, you can definitely see the difference in the hue. The Queen Studios belt has of course been described by many as being too light, whereas of course the JND belt is a bit darker and I think closer to the movie itself. The pose for both statues are extremely similar. The main difference is a little bit of how the shoulders and the pauldrons lie. On the Queen Studios piece, this is part of the whole arm, whereas this of course is separated on the JND. Now, taking a look at the layering, there's less of a sheen on the carbon fiber pieces on the Queen Studios. And this is primarily in a movie room, and since I use a projector, there are really no natural sign that comes in that would cause any type of fading. So that is just how it looks, versus the slightly shinier and reflective texture of the carbon fiber on the JND suit. As far as the layering of the sculpt, I believe is more pronounced on JND. Seems to be more of a separation until you get to the gauntlets. These are about equal as far as the forearms and how separate they look. There is a little bit less of space, so it seems like more one piece, whereas the JND one just has a little bit more padding, which makes it look like an external armor. Both still fisted gloves. So the changes are differences are very minute when it comes to the statue itself. And they are in scale with each other. It's really more in the eye of the beholder. Which one to you looks like Bale in the Batsuit? Now, for me, this is definitely Bale in the Batsuit, thanks to that chin and the way his lower half of his face is framed. Versus this. Again, looking underneath. But you can't go wrong with either statue. I do like the duality of this pose. I do wish that they were separate so you could display them separately. But that's okay. Fortunately, I do have room to showcase. Now, if you're going to ask me which one I'm most likely going to keep in display, it will be the JND Duo. So I probably will either be boxing up or will be selling my Queen Studios Deluxe Rooted Hair Dark Knight. It's definitely a very unique base versus the museum style base. Now, the cape is definitely of different quality. This is a little bit of a lighter feel compared to this cape here. This one is stiffer. Feels like there's a bit more weight to it. Both do drape nicely. But even as you can tell in this video, there definitely is a huge difference in both suits, where this is more ashen or charcoal black, and this one seems to be more of a mix of black with, of course, the carbon fiber and the underbody. Taking a look around the statues, start off with the back pieces here, and here is the Queen Studios, JND, both flowing. The Queen Studios cape is much longer, so actually tuck it between his legs with his base. Versus the one that's on JND, which seems to be just about right. Now taking a look at the Christian Bale suit, probably gonna have to, again, foot's a little bit more, pull it down since it has been. There we go. Get some more, rid of some of that fluff. Another well done statue by JND. And just to kind of summarize things up on this overview, here's a look at all three. Of course, the Duo from JND, next to the Queen Studios Batman the Dark Knight. Deluxe rooted version, of course, the rooted head's right down there. And honestly, as a collector, we live in an amazing time, as either one is a good purchase. So if you are a Dark Knight fan and you bought the Queen Studios and you only need one in your collection, definitely not a knock or a miss if you don't pick up the JND. But if you haven't yet and are able to get either the Duo or the Batman JND by itself, it is highly recommended. I definitely think that the Christian Bale sculpt, and again, this is my personal opinion, is better than the Queen Studios resin sculpt. Thanks, of course, to the silicone head and the rooted hair, along with the glass eyes. I do like the Duo more because it does show both without having to buy another statue just to have the Christian Bale sculpt. I originally just had the Dark Knight pose on there with the Christian Bale rooted hair. As you can really see how amazing the sculpt was. But with the Duo, you of course get both. And a little better look more on the Christian Bale side. Again, I definitely think this is closer to Christian Bale and Dark Knight. Whereas the Queen Studios, I think Christian Bale's sculpt is still extremely close and well done. But I think it's a little like when he was younger and in Batman Begins, where he was a little bit thicker. So I feel that the JND Christian Bale is closer to the Dark Knight movie, whereas the Christian Bale for this head sculpt would probably be better fit with the Batman Begins movie. And that actually would be an amazing costume to have as well, especially if you're a Batman Christian Bale aficionado. But that is my quick overview. I do want to thank everyone for watching. Definitely please like, comment, and subscribe. I do hope that everyone has a very happy and safe holidays and a happy ending of 2022.